Good evening, I'm Adventure Argonaut. This is the Golden News. Today is Tuesday News Day, and I bring you the news from last week and this early this week. Right after I confirmed that my streams are working, of course. Still waiting for the party start, but all the other streams appear functional. Alright, now even Parti looks good. Alrighty, let's start the stream with the news. So the first news is Macron was slapped by wife, the French president. I think it happened just today, or maybe yesterday, but it was like a fairly new piece of news. So let's have a look here. It's a bit loud. Okay, so now focus here. Yes. So I don't think this video does it show her coming or yeah like okay like play devil's advocate and stuff. Okay, well the red jacket and the arm. Okay, it does look it's most likely Brigitte Macron, but like theoretically because there's a cut here. So it could mean that it's somebody else. Like I don't know why. Like they would, fake it like that. So it doesn't. I'm not saying that's what happened, but like theoretically speaking, it could be somebody else. But I'm is most likely Brigitte Macron slapping him. But it's like it's still like even though I'd like to make a big deal out of this story, I really can't because the slap doesn't seem like actual violence. It's more of like a push, like most likely Emmanuel Macron here said something that annoyed Brigitte Macron and is like get away from here, like it could even be interpreted as playful, probably wasn't, but still it's not like actual like I'm gonna knock your block off or anything like that. At least doesn't look like that. And of course, have to mention that, since we have Candice Owens here, that there are allegations that um, Brigitte Macron is a man, or even Emmanuel Macron's uncle or something, who's transgendered themselves and stuff. Like so, somebody argued, like Romanian V argued that you know that proves that Brigitte Macron is not a man because this, if because Emmanuel Macron, the French president, isn't a very big guy, so he would be, knocked on his ass if the, much taller a man would hit him. But it doesn't look like a, a hit. It's sort of like, yeah. So it is sort of like effeminate attack. So at least that in that sense it's feminine. But yeah, whatever. It's I don't know, like, on the like the only significant message I can derive from this though is that it does make Emmanuel Macron look like a bitch, sort of like either it means that he's a puppet of Brigitte Macron or he's just um, whipped, pussy whipped, or whatever whipped. If we talk about Brigitte Macron, I don't know if pussy is the appropriate term or not. Perhaps it is. I don't know. But yeah, he does look like a does make him look like a weak bitch or something. And of course, it's possible that for whatever reason the powers that be in France are trying to make worsen his image by this, and that's why it was leaked in public and filmed. It's possible. Like I don't think so, but it's possible. But yeah, I don't have much more to say about this story. So let's move on. So okay, South African president in the U.S. So yeah, it was this happened already almost a week ago. So there was the South African president Ramaphosa was Trump's uh, guest in the White House, and President Trump plays videos promoting false claims of white genocide in the country. Oh, so breaking news knows the truth that it's fake news. Of course it is. Written by Anna Leibovich. I wonder what Kaguya's Top Gun means by that. I have no idea. Okay, let's see. There's a short video clip of this of South Africa, like of um apparently of South African black people laughing about white South Africans dying.
And because it's Donald Trump, things got weird.
Death, 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 horrible death, death. I don't know.
What a host! Death, death. Hey, do you want a Diet Coke?
So wait, this is okay. Daily Show. So this is like a humor bit. Okay, okay. This is a humor bit. That yeah, he's pointing out how there's genocide going on in South Africa, and they're just laughing about it. Like, you know, I'm not even saying you should get angry. Just take note of what kind of people these are, and if you are white, or maybe you have some friends or something who are white, that's the kind of people, they just think it's funny when actual genocide is going on against certain kinds of people. Of course, well, talking about Israel and Palestine, that's yeah, that's similar stuff. All right, but I guess I just say that, like, yeah, it's good that Trump was calling out, because the South African president, of course, was denying it and whatever. So, um, but it's I've known about this stuff going on for like almost a decade, probably maybe a decade. I don't know when I first heard about this problem, and it's clearly, even though I've never been to South Africa, but like it's clearly not just some internet rumor. Like, there seems to be um, fire behind the smoke, as it were. So it is good that Trump was drawing more attention to this matter, as previously they took some refugees from South Africa to America. But there is this another kind of story. This, it's not really a refugee, but about a Danish immigrant who's been treated quite unfairly by ICE. So let's read this story, assuming that this is accurate, of course. This father went to his citizenship hearing expecting a handshake. Instead, ICE shackled him, threw him into a van, and tore him away from his pregnant wife and 4 children without even letting him say goodbye. Casper Eriksen arrived in Mississippi from Denmark in 2013, fully documented and determined to build a life here. He started a family, became part of his community, and followed every rule. He was never accused, let alone convicted of any crime, but best as we understand, he is now imprisoned because of a single clerical mistake made years ago. In 2015, so 10 years ago, Casper and his wife Savannah missed filling one form among the hundreds of required on the complicated path to citizenship. Savannah had just suffered a stillbirth, losing their first child. In the painful days that followed, paperwork deadlines understandably slipped past unnoticed. Now, over a month after his arrest, Casper remains locked in a detention facility notorious for cruelty, neglect, and abuse. Savannah, 8 months pregnant, at high risk, and terrified, is desperately pleading for her husband's return. She and their children have no idea when or if they'll ever see him again, and she doesn't know if he'll be present for her child's birth. Every day brings another nightmare on the Trump administration. The actions of our government are evil. There's simply no other way to describe it. May God have mercy on all of us for allowing this to happen. So, yeah, it's of course possible that some pertinent details have been omitted from it. And well, it says it's Project Liberal, so it's very much possible. But at least if it's fake news, if it's somehow inaccurate reporting, maybe he actually did something, or maybe that's good reason why he's being held, or maybe he's not being held, maybe it's fake. But there's no community note, and I've been conditioned that if you say something on Twitter and there's no community note, it's completely true, right? But of course, yeah, this guy is just using it's like MAGA bad, Trump bad. It's like I don't think he's talking about this issue like for genuine concern, but still, if what the story states is accurate, then it's like because okay, I guess now in and Trump's term at least, like illegal immigrants, they're trying to get rid of them, but still, let's just see the past decade in America. Your law-abiding, good immigrant from and not some criminal thug or anything, and yeah, this is how you're treated. But then they at least during Biden's era, the illegal immigrants, they were shipped into five-star hotels and stuff like that. So it is sort of strange, like and if it's simply because of some stupid like form, some documents that he's been held for a month, it's weird. Like I don't know what's going on. Like, but anyways, let's see what do we have next. So, drones failed to assassinate Putin, the president of Russia. So, oh, so this guy says Putin now has the right to obliterate Ukraine. So yeah, breaking assassination attempt on Russia President Vladimir Putin unsuccessful after Ukraine conducted a failed drone attack that targeted the Russian leader's helicopter. So yeah, if this is true that um, Ukraine actually did try to assassinate him, and weren't they supposed to be, trying to have peace talks and all that stuff? No, yeah, I don't, not gonna pay pig or you or anything, but like as far as I know, it is an actual story. Like that is not just some random rumor. As far as I know, it actually happened. So yeah, it's like and this like Putin now has the right to obliterate Ukraine. Like I'm not saying that it's necessarily moral right, but like politically, it's a valid casus belli, or like cause for I don't know, bringing out the big guns or something. If really like if they were having sort of peace talks, and then that this is what Ukraine does, that's of course, it might be some, extremist faction of Ukraine or something that try to do it. So, but I guess if this info is legit, maybe we'll see in a few weeks that if Putin is gonna do something different, like adopt a different policy. And Hasan Piker was banned from Twitch from and but it was only for 24 hours. So of course people are complaining no matter what, that it's not long enough, and all that stuff. But like in this particular matter, I do support Hassan. Like I'm not certainly not a fan of his or anything. And he has said offensive things and dumb things and stuff like that. But supposedly the people that got him banned were the ADL. And I if I have to take a side in this conflict, I would side with Hassan, because as far as I know, I could be wrong. I'm not like um, the biggest expert on Hassan's influence, but like he says stuff on the internet, and generally speaking, I am for the freedom to say stuff on the internet, whereas ADL has been more actively ruining people's lives, like and still has more power than Hassan. So yeah, you know so I guess he's back already because the ban was a couple of days ago. But yeah, it's I guess it sort of shows who is in charge. If he's had alleged terrorists on his show and stuff like that, that is against the terms of service, but he wasn't banned before, I think, for that. But when the ADL says like, oh, you have to punish him, then he's punished. Like it should I don't know, get the noggin chugging, as they say. And then let's go to Germany, and it's the usual stuff. Iraqi boy stabs German boy. It's part and parcel. So, 11-year-old Iraqi boy stabs 13-year-old German student multiple times with a knife in Remscheid, Germany. First Berlin, now Remscheid. So, for the second time in one day, boy stabs student. So, what's the. Yeah, at least Hitler didn't win, exactly. Yeah. Why isn't Iraq even in Germany? Thanks a lot, Israel. Oh, well, maybe Germans should stop letting Jews import deranged foreigners. There are very interesting comments here. Yeah. But so apparently there was another stabbing on the same day. Well, I don't have the link here, so I'm not gonna dig into it. But like, hey, this sort of stuff seems to happen especially in Germany, quite regularly. And of course, I don't think that voting for Alternative für Deutschland is gonna cut it. Like, maybe it's a good step in the right direction, but like, to fix problems like this, I think you have to go a bit beyond just, voting, beyond voting like Putin. But yeah, short story. Just to remind, this stuff happens. And then Jordan Retardson goes full retard. Jordan Peterson. Um,
Why is that?
so yeah, just a quick remark. I think I've said this before, but like I remember when he became like a household name, you could say, on the internet about a decade ago. Like every YouTube skeptic was talking about him and praising him. And I'm not saying Jordan Peterson. Of course, he's said many things. Some of them that are very reasonable things and good things and smart things. He has said some good things, but like already it rubbed me the wrong way. That like when he suddenly like he was everywhere, it felt inorganic to me. And of course, like I do think he used to, like, before he became famous. He used to work for the United Nations in some capacity, and stuff like that is a bit sus. But now it seems like, even though like supposedly he's been addicted to drugs, I'm not sure if he managed to kick the habit and stuff, but like mentally he doesn't seem all there. Because anyway, so let's get into this story. So during a debate titled "One Christian versus 20 Atheists," Jordan Peterson was pressed to identify himself as a Christian, but awkwardly refused. So let's just watch the clip first.
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure,
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
somewhat.
Okay, you're
Their
familiar.
doctrines are very
How do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
And I mean
either
it,
you're a
'cause
Christian
I won't
or you're
talk to
not.
you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression that I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video.
You're really quite something, you are.
Aren't I? But you're really quite nothing. Right? You're not a Christian.
Okay, I'm done with him.
Yeah, so if the program is called One Christian versus 20 Atheists, and so why is Jordan Peterson there? Because I knew he wasn't a Christian, that, he's interested in Christianity. In that regard, maybe, I'm a bit similar to him, and I feel a bit, chilled down my spine. I compare myself to Jordan Peterson because, I don't know, like, um, especially nowadays, I think he's more of a hack or a quack or whatever. But it's like, what were they thinking? Like, or what was he thinking? Like, he's representing a Christian, but he's not a Christian and won't even, say that he's a Christian or anything. It's really weird. Like, why? Like, it, like maybe he genuinely didn't know what he was signing up for. Maybe he was just being promised that we give you 50 bucks, please do this for us or something, or I don't know, like we give you opiates, whatever he likes. That's weird. Like, but also the program, couldn't they actually get a Christian, somebody who says that I'm a Christian? Like, what's going on here? And of course, Jordan Peterson was just elusively here, like like that sort of stuff might work somewhere, but like it was very relevant in this matter. Like, I can understand if you're talking about, I don't know, the debating the existence of the soul or afterlife or anything. Maybe in a conversation like that, yeah, he doesn't have to reveal whether he considers himself a Christian. But in this particular topic, yes, you do have to identify if you're a Christian or not. um but yeah, when I think of Jordan Peterson now, it's like his inability, his refusal to refer to Alexander Dugin's the other book about the communists and the ethnic makeup of the communists, because this guy is fairly pro-Israel as well, which is where we differ quite a lot. But let's move on. And speaking of Israel, okay, Israel Delen dies. Israel has to be destroyed, and talking about the political entity, blah blah blah. Okay, so there's this rumor, the small rumors. I'm not saying that I believe this is actually true or is going to happen or anything, but President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu had a heated phone call where Trump pushed for a diplomatic solution with Iran while Netanyahu urged US support for an Israeli strike on Iran. So, if this is true, it's great news. Trump is doing something well, if this is true, but like, okay, this is from Times of Israel, so can they be relied on that? That is true, but um, because last week already I reported similar kinds of matters, that maybe Trump isn't completely in Israel's leash, but is there still, like, was it even like supposedly he was considering recognizing Palestine as an actual state. Yet to happen though, and I'm not expecting US to do it anytime soon. And of course, there was the shooting at the was it Israel embassy, and these two Messianic Jews were killed, and that's of course unfortunate. Not condoning random acts of violence or anything, but it's and some people have said it's a false flag. That guy, I think, did he say Allah Akbar or something when he did it, or something to that extent, like trying to label him a Muslim or pro-Palestine and stuff, and to make them seem like terrorists. So people said it's a false flag that it's basically framing. The actual culprits are framing somebody else for the crime. Like, and I don't know if that's true. And yeah, I think somebody, was it Netanyahu, said something like this: if you scream "Free Palestine," you help pull the trigger. Yeah, Free Palestine, but I don't know. I didn't help pull any triggers recently. Um, what was it? Oh yeah, but even if whether it was a false flag or anything like that, it's certainly being used as a political propaganda to trying to demonize Palestinians and all that stuff. Like whoever, like, I don't know about the culprits, what his motivations were, but I'm just saying, like, how does it benefit the cause of Palestine and Gaza and the people to kill a couple of random guys who were in America, but I guess they're Israeli citizens, I think. I don't know. So yeah, it's used as political propaganda, of course. And here, Nicolas Fuentes saying that Trump and Vance immediately spoke out on the murder of the Israeli diplomats last night. Still not a word about Austin Metcalf, the forgotten American. So Austin Metcalf. Wait, now I'm like, was this the victim or the perpetrator? But anyways, there was 17-year-old white guy who was killed by a black guy. Like, I think this was the victim, right? Yes, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, he's got a point. But then again, you could point out that if these are diplomats, so this is more like an international incident. So yeah, it is more necessary, I guess, for the president to say, the U.S. president to say something about it if it happened in his country. Whereas this is more a domestic, just crime issue, and not as diplomatically significant. But sure, it is, I guess, is mostly forgotten by the establishment still. In that sense, I do think Fuentes is right. But yeah, here France and Canada plan to recognize Palestinian statehood. So yeah, it's plan. It doesn't say that they do so. Like I can say I plan to become the emperor of mankind, but I'm yet to be one. But if they actually are planning to do it, is it genuinely? I guess that's good news. Yeah, even Grok says it appears likely that France and Canada plan to recognize Palestinian statehood based on a joint statement from their leaders on May 19th, aiming two-state solution. Okay, so that's good then if it's happening. And here's why is every FBI member required to visit the Holocaust Museum? Like, is that true? Like, it's weird. Like, how is FBI related to the Holocaust? Like, doesn't make sense to me. Except, of course, if you know about APAC and its influence over American, not only foreign policy, but I guess also domestic policy, then yeah, it makes more sense. But doesn't make sense in a rational universe, really. Unless it's like, generally being aware of all the violence that had transpired in the history of mankind, then sure. But then you should visit the Armenian Genocide Museum and whatever, the Punic Wars Museum and so forth, because there have been a lot of various kinds of slaughter in the history of mankind. But for some curious reason, this one ethnicity or religion is singled out in, that you have to cry for them, but don't cry for the others, please. And here is, okay, this is Baalbek of Lebanon. This is sort of history. Talking about history, so let's talk about history. It's located 150 miles from Jerusalem, dates back to 3000 BC. The Canaanites lived here. They sacrificed their children to the satanic effigy Baal. It is called Star of Remphan in the Bible. There is no Star of David in the Bible. So yeah, six-pointed star. The symbol of Israel as well. So yes, this is yeah, it is the Star of Remphan, and I don't think it's explained very well, like or thoroughly in the Bible what the Star of Remphan is, but I do think it implies that it's not a good symbol. And also, to be fair, I don't think it's stated that it's six-sided in the Bible either. But yeah, there is no Star of David either, as far as I know. So yeah, it's uh, well, I do wonder, like, could it be have something to do with like King Solomon, because he had some ring and he could control demons supposedly, or jinn, to like build his palaces and stuff. I wonder if this has something to do with controlling demons. This symbol, at least like mythologically speaking. But let's see, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, then there's Lucas Gage is said, okay, he has this picture, and I'm not Jewish, but I'm a 33-degree Freemason. Here I'm infiltrating MPI in 2015. Look at all the proof. So this is like, okay, I don't think that he is actually a Freemason, but I'm not a fan of this kind of jokes. Like I pointed out here, many a true word spoken in jest. So I don't trust people who do this stuff if they jokingly say something like this, because like I don't know, maybe this is part of like one line in a bigger conversation he's had with other of his detractors. I don't know, I don't follow him that intently or anything. So but you know uh, these sort of statements always rub me the wrong way, sort of like just last week there was the red cloth bracelet thingy that Ian McCarroll was wearing, and that looks like some Kabbalah bracelet. It's similar thing, and he was like, "Yeah, I wore it, and it's not big deal, and yeah, I know people are gonna complain, but I don't know, I don't trust it. Like, why would you like if you position yourself as against these sort of forces, why would you like let's say the American Civil War, um, around the time of the America, not civil, well, okay, Civil War, but I meant like the Independence War, but whatever. Okay, let's go to Independence War. Like you're American there, and there people are talking about, oh, the British are coming. What are we gonna do about the British? And then there's some guy, I don't know, waving a British flag, a Union Jack or whatever flag. I guess they used to use the same flag already like 300 years ago, right? Anyway, so they're waving the British flag and or something. It's like, oh, I'm just doing it ironically. It's like, really, like maybe he would have just gotten shot. So I just, at least I don't think this kind of stuff is smart. And also, like for me, is Lucas Gage. When I first heard about the guy, like I don't I do think he's said some good things too, but like and I hope I'm not mixing him up with somebody else. But like a decade ago on Red Ice Radio or Red Ice Creations, as it was known back then, Like I think he was a guest and he was complaining about Jew chasers, people who chase Jews, but now he seems to have become one of them. So it's like, and I don't remember the exact definition of what that term entailed and stuff, but it's like I don't know, it is a bit sus to me still. And then he does stuff like this. Like, why would you do that? And oh yeah, and South Korea has opened its first Holocaust museum in Paju. There's also why? What does the Holocaust have to do with Korea? Does Israel have a, I don't know, like a Korean Civil War museum, or like the museum for the comfort women that Japanese had during the occupation of Korea and stuff? It's like sorry for being blunt, but I can only see this as a a sort of like a blatant um like showing off, like looks who's wields a lot of influence over South Korea. Haha, it's us. It's our star of Remphan here. That's the only reasonable way I can look at this. Like, why else would they have this sort of stuff there? Oh yeah, and then there's this. So Jake the shaman from January 6th false flag in the capital just cracked the code. Proud of you, big guy. So he said. So this is the so-called Q shaman. Fuck Israel and fuck you if you support Israel instead of America. He is actually America shaman. His Twitter. Okay, I didn't know that. Uh, Sometimes all a person needs is one missing piece. Interesting. Anyways, all right. But I guess that's enough for this stuff. We can go to gaming entertainment news. Today seems to be things are moving along a bit faster. I think like not as much news as is usual, which I think is a good thing. It's nice to have a lighter stream every now and then. So, anyways, Dragon Age Maestro says EA always spoke about a hypothetical nerd cave full of diehard RPG fans who would always show up. So you didn't have to try and appeal to them. So okay, it's good that they admit that they really have no um like they didn't have much faith in the uh, in Dragon Age Veilguard, that they knew it was slop and half-assed at best. But also like this is like, yeah, they don't understand nerds, proper geeks and nerds and stuff. Because at least for me, like and the nerdier they are, the more I guess uptight people tend to be over like minute details in their nerd hobbies, like nerdy people argue over so sorts of small details, like which or is this like canonical or whatever, or which character is best and stuff. And if they don't like something, they a proper nerd won't buy it. Because like I remember back in when I was like a teenager already in the 90s, like I was always worried that the next game in my favorite series, or even like favorite music artist, their new album, like maybe they're gonna sell out, maybe it's gonna be shit, like then it's gonna stain all of the older good stuff. And like for example, like when Final Fantasy VII came out, it was the first Final Fantasy game I bought because I didn't have a NES or SNES back in the day, but I had a PlayStation, and of course, Final Fantasy VII is my favorite game of all time. And then when Final Fantasy VIII came, I remember thinking like, well, what if it sucks? And I think it was still pretty good, like not as good as seven. And the same happened with Final Fantasy IX. I think it was pretty good too, but not as good. So, but I was worried that maybe they're just gonna screw it up, and later on, I think they did sort of screw up Final Fantasies, but that's like in the 2000s, and or like Star Wars. Back in the day, there were only three Star Wars movies, and then when the prequels came, and I was like, are the prequels gonna suck? Are they gonna suck? And when I went to see the Phantom Menace, I was like, I was confused. Like I didn't hate it, but didn't really like it either. It's like I don't know, maybe I didn't understand it. But when the episode two, whatever it's called, that was already like, and when episode three came along, it's like I felt okay. I guess in that sense, I was the nerd from the cave that I felt obligated. I still had to go see it in the movies, although I already knew that I wouldn't like it and it would suck. And yeah, at least back then it sucked. Now maybe I should try to rewatch the prequels, like at least contrasted with the Disney movies. They're probably decent, but anyway, so they just don't understand that nerds tend to be picky. Like if you're actually a nerd, you really care about the minute details. Like if the story has uh, something that violates canon, like let's say the magic or the technology functions differently as it used to, like the nerds will notice and they will complain and they won't be happy about it. Anyways, and then there's this Dragon Age actor blames fans for Veilguard backlash, claims people just wanted to see BioWare fail. Well, I guess that's true. People wanted to see them fail because, it was clear they're gonna be producing shit. And of course, they also knew that this, like, you can look at the people who were making the thing. Like, sometimes you don't even have to, like, okay, you cannot say with 100% accuracy that it always works, but generally speaking, you can look at instead of looking at the final product, you just look at the people doing it. Like, if it's gonna be good, like, somebody says that my 5-year-old kid is like the best painter in the world. Like, oh, you have to see her paintings, she's so good. It's like, unless she's truly some, savant or something, like, yeah, she's gonna be a 5-year-old kid. Her paintings might be good for a 5-year-old, but it's still, just a child's doodling, right? And if you look at the people who made Veilguard, of course, you don't expect much from them if you have any idea what kind of people they are. Anyways, so Clear Obscure Expedition 33 has higher reviews than every mainline Final Fantasy. So it's like, I don't know, reviews, what does it mean? Like I think my argument still is that I haven't played the game. I don't hate it, I don't love it, because I'm gonna wait when it's on sale and when I feel like playing it. But it feels like to me it's like the game version of the Joker. When the Joker movie came, when was it 2007, 2019? I think that's so. It's already like 5 years or more than 5 years ago. Anyways, when it came out, people were hyped about it, but it wasn't like it was some masterpiece. It was just decent movie. But nowadays, like, people had gotten used to crap, and then somebody makes a decent movie. Of course, everybody's excited. So that's my impression of this game. That it's not like the greatest thing ever, but it's decent. So yeah, people are excited. And then there's this controversy about Borderlands 4. So Randy Pitchfork, Pitchford, said that if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to pay $80 for Borderlands 4. because somebody asked him not to price the game at $80. But it's like this is like the worst advertisement because simply for me, I'm not a fan of Borderlands. I played the first game only a few hours. I didn't really. It's not for me. I didn't hate it. Like if I was locked into in a room and for a day, and all I had was a computer with Borderlands installed on it, like sure, okay, I guess it would be nicer to pass the time playing Borderlands than staring at the wall. But yeah, I just mainly remember Claptrap was annoying, like the robot tutorial robot, and then it's like whatever. It was like it was like slop. Like it's not bad. Like some slop can be enjoyable, but still slop. I wasn't really excited. So, anyways, I'm not a fan. So he's basically already saying that since I'm not a fan, I shouldn't even uh, try to play it. But because usually, if you're marketing stuff like this, you should say like, oh, whether you're a fan or a complete noob, you should try it out because you will love it no matter what. But no, not this guy. And it's also not about being able to afford it or not. Like I could afford an $80 game. I just don't want to pay that much for a game. Like even if it's a game that I really am excited about, and I'm not excited about Borderlands. So this is just so yeah. I really hope that this game tanks. This I don't know offends me, even though I'm not even in the target audience. But of course, it's Randy Pitchford. Um, okay, Baldur's Gate 3 dev calls Randy Pitchford's $80 Borderlands 4 comments gross because it implies the FPS is more important than making it day to day. Well, is well, okay, yeah, you know, economically, generally speaking, people are not doing well. So in that sense, yeah, the comment makes sense. But it's just that I think it should be the same whether you're a freaking millionaire or not. That you don't want to pay $80 for something that isn't really good. Oh well, maybe if I was a millionaire, I would see it differently. But still, I don't know. Like even if I was a millionaire, because I do find some derive a little bit of pleasure when I find games that I'm interested in, on a good discount, whether on Steam or some other platform with a bundle and stuff. So even if I was like make me a millionaire so I can prove or disprove this hypothesis that I would like to buy cheap games even if I was super rich. Anyway, so here is more rumors about Half-Life 3. So yeah, new rumor from whoever on Patreon indicates that Valve wants to leave the series behind after Half-Life 3. The leaker claimed that Half-Life 3 has been designed to be the final chapter in the franchise. It's like, okay, I guess first you should confirm that Half-Life 3 is even coming before you make claims like this. I'm just gonna call bullshit because we don't know if it's like I did report on it. I don't remember when, few weeks, few months ago that some people are rumoring that Half-Life 3 is really coming this time. Not holding my breath, but maybe. I do think it's possible. Like I'm gonna grant them that it's possible that Valve is working on it. But hey, some good news for finally. So Square Enix has removed Denuvo from Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. Even though isn't this the version that like they censored some designs of women who were sort of scantily clad, so I still wouldn't buy it. But hey, removing Denuvo is always a good thing though. And also Denuvo removed from Endless Dungeon, and here they are saying we are removing Denuvo. Turns out the latest Windows 11 update wasn't playing nice with it, causing crashes on some players, so we're taking it out to help keep things something, I guess, smooth. Like, I wonder if they're gonna bring it back in case, the updates work and stuff, but it's like, and it wasn't Endless Dungeon. I think it's like a 10-year-old game already, right? But hey, removing Denuvo always good. And then Stalker Remaster Trilogy is being censored. So what I heard that they were like, because it takes place in Ukraine, after the Chernobyl nuclear power plant blew up and it's created all sorts of creepy things there. And there were of course like Soviet imagery because it happened out under Soviet Union's watch. And apparently they removed the symbols and stuff relating to Soviet Union because of the current Ukraine Russia war. But that's like the dumbest reason ever because first of all, like, well, it implies that before the current war, Soviet Union was good, but it's only because somehow like retroactively go back in time that now Soviet Union becomes bad because current Russia is supposedly bad, which doesn't make any sense. And uh, and of course it's removing history, and it's not like as far as I understand, it wasn't, praising it or anything. It's just, part of the atmosphere. So this is completely ridiculous, and I really hope nobody buys it because, well, censorship offends me. Uh, so yeah, so not only the censorship, but so the Steam reviews are mostly negative because the players bemoan blurry visuals, controversial changes. I think there were some bugs too, or maybe I'm confusing it with some other game. But yeah, it's like I don't know, way to go full retard, I guess. And then here, Capcom just added Enigma and Obsidian to Onimusha 1 and disclosed neither one on the Steam store page. Failing to disclose these is a violation of false advertising law in many jurisdictions, including California, where Capcom USA is headquartered. Okay, if it is, a violation of law and stuff, I hope somebody sues them if they did this. So yeah, apparently this Enigma and Obsidian, there are some like licensing protection software, like I guess sort of DRM, some sort of stuff. Uh, and so because I know that there Onimusha 2 is just coming out, or maybe it came out already. There was some censorship stuff, so I guess Onimusha 1, or I think they are like remakes or remasters, but so I guess it's been there for a while. So if they added later on these things, yeah, I guess it is. Especially if they don't tell you that, yeah, it sucks. Well, if it would suck, like if I buy a game that doesn't have Denuvo or Enigma, Obsidian, whatever, I don't know a great deal about these two programs, what they do and stuff, but if I buy a game that doesn't have them and then suddenly they are added to the game, that would really suck. And I guess I would refund it then. But I hope I could go back to the version without these things. And then there's this controversy of some indie book authors supposedly using AI to write their books and even forgetting to delete the prompt code from it. So that now makes Lena McDonald, Casey Crown, and Rania Faris, leaving ChatGPT prompts in their books. And so fucking tired, guys. If you don't write, you're not a writer. It's that simple. Stop doing this to your readers who pay. Readers and authors deserve better than this. So yeah, here's thought for 13 seconds. Certainly, here's an enhanced version of your passage, making Elena more relatable and injecting additional humor while providing a brief, sexy description of Grigory. Changes are highlighted in bold for clarity. It's like, so wait, they actually like published this book, sold this book, and didn't notice this passage. Like, I don't really know how the book industry works and stuff. But it's like, come on, this just seems so amateurish, and because like I am an aspiring author. Like, I've written a few books. I'm almost done with the first draft of my latest like fantasy novel, like low fantasy sword and sorcery stuff, heavily inspired by ancient Romans. And yeah, it's soon to be done. And I wish I tried to get it published when it's done, but like, yeah, I didn't use AI to write it. Like, I did use AI to do some research, similar to like I use Google or search engines to find information and about, for history, or just, I don't know, use thesaurus. Sometimes you can use AI for that sort of stuff, but it's like I don't get it. Like, why would you do it? Like, that's not fun. The fun part of writing is actually to write and not just AI. But like, hey, if people are buying for your, bullshit, if they're paying money for your bullshit, I understand it. Like, I guess it's like, hey, how about buy my books that are yet to be published, instead of, they're not AI written, or they're actually written by me. So I don't know, like, what garbage is this? And this, I don't know, these names, I don't know who these are, but sounds like, modern feminist bullshit, whatever it is. And here, as a warning to rapid release authors who forego editors, this is your future, save your career, hire an editor. Well, just maybe just don't, like, of course you can use AI to help with stuff, like, but if it's writing sentences for you, I wouldn't like it. And I use AI art all the time. Like, you can have a look here, and some people complaining about it. Maybe, if I like this doesn't really uh like offend me. It's more like, why? Because it's like taking out the best part. Best part of being a writer is actually writing and stuff. I don't know. But personally, for me, what pisses me off of the most, like, if somebody actually pays for these books and they're just AI slop, and nobody's willing to publish my books. But anyways, then the last news is Greeks to produce film on the Battle of Marathon entirely in ancient Greek. That's fucking amazing. Not only because I'm the adventure Argonaut, but it's like, I remember like when um, the Gladiator movie came out, I was grumbling to myself, like, they speak English, they are in ancient Rome, surely they should speak Latin. And it's like, and now they're making, speaking Greek. I don't know about the Battle of Marathon, like, who fought in that. Like, I've heard about it, but I don't remember. But if they're in ancient Greece, they should be speaking ancient Greek. That's amazing. And like, when the Passion of the Christ from Mel Gibson came out, and they're actually speaking ancient Aramaic, I thought also that's amazing. So I do like this trend. Like, of course, I can understand it's not so easy. Like, it takes a lot of extra work to speak actually some ancient languages and stuff that aren't really spoken nowadays. But at least, people speak Greek, and I don't know how different ancient Greek is from modern Greek. But still, I'm very excited for this movie. I hope they don't fuck it up. Well, that's it for tonight. What was I talking about earlier? Uh, I don't know. I don't really have um any conclusion either. Nothing really to say here. So yeah, I'm Advan Jargon. Hey, Stolen Hellcat! Did you just arrive? I'm just ending the stream. But nice for showing up. And I'm Adventure Argonaut. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.